I want to let you in on my biggest secret for doing the work and for facilitating the work. Um, this is something that I use all the time. I use it every time I do the work, every time I facilitate someone doing the work. And it makes a really big difference in terms of making finding examples that are really powerful for the client or for myself. And this simple idea is to look for examples for the turnaround within the situation that you're talking about. So sometimes you're dealing with a general situation, you're not focused on a specific moment, but many times you're dealing with one particular situation, and if you look for the turnaround examples within that situation, it can be amazing what you find. It's like it becomes so concrete, and it balances that stressful experience that I had in that moment so beautifully. So this is what we're going to practice a little bit today, and I encourage you to take this with you whenever you do the work to look for examples that are within the situation. Now, don't make this like an absolute that turnaround examples only should be within the situation. No, turnaround examples can come from anywhere, and sometimes they're very powerful when they come from outside of the specific situation. But as you're looking for turnaround examples, you'll notice some are general and then some are specific. And so if you're noticing there are a lot of general examples that are, sorry, not general, but out of the situation examples um, that are, and you're not noticing any examples that are within the situation, then look for them. Look, go back in, look really close, hold yourself close to that moment, and see if you can find an example that arises within that situation. So just noticing this will give you the clue that maybe you're not seeing something there, so maybe look a little closer, and often you'll find an example just sitting right there in plain view, but right in the moment. So I've given some examples in the PDF that you can read, but it's something that I want you just to experiment with. Look for examples outside of the situation, and then look for examples within the situation and notice the difference. And then collect them all. They're all wonderful. They're all good. But I've had people, I've sat with people doing the work, and just holding them to the in the situation. Like I'll just ask them something like, "Can you find an example for that within that situation?" Or "Can you find an example for that just in that moment when they did such and such?" And just asking them that often makes them see something like, "Wow, okay, well, yes, I was doing the exact same thing that I thought they were doing," and it blows their mind. So that's something that I want you just to experiment with now. There's another dimension as well. So there's within the situation or outside of the situation. Those are two ways you can find examples. And then the other is general or specific. So your examples can be general. They can be in the situation and still be general. Or they can be outside of the situation and they can be specific. Or any combination like that. It could be outside of the situation and general. Or inside this situation and specific. And I find that the most powerful examples tend to be inside the situation and specific. It's like you nailed it. It's just like, boom, there is no getting away from that hard kind of evidence. Whereas outside of the situation in general, it's kind of a good indication. There might be some, it creates some balance. It's good general evidence, but it's often not as powerful as in the situation and specific. So what do I mean by general and specific? Like again, and I have these on the PDF, so it's probably better to look for the examples in written form, but I'm trying to think if I can give you an example just off the top of my head. So a general example, like he doesn't like me, and I can turn it around to he does like me, And in general, um, I think, yeah, he kind of does. Like he's still with me. He still talks to me. Um, in general, he likes me. But actually, he talks to me as a specific example. It's just outside of the situation. So maybe I'll let you read the PDF instead of trying to wing this off the top of my head. But just keep in mind these two things: general, specific. Specific is often more powerful, but general can be very powerful as well. And then in the situation and out of the situation. In the situation, I find to be very powerful, but outside of the situation, don't dismiss it. Sometimes it can be amazing. So just play with that. Play with it today in the assignment, as well as just moving forward. Consider this whenever you're looking for examples for your turnarounds.